Are y'all ready?
We're ready.
All right. My name is Alyson Fletcher, and I'm going to be doing this thing called Vikonveled this summer. What's Vikonveled? You're going to learn all about it. This is our fancy logo, integrating housing and bicycles all in one. It's part of our mission to bike across the country, be extremely visible for the housing cause, and build housing once a week and do presentations in the communities in between. So this presentation is going to go into a lot of the details of how this actually happens, our cause, and all of that. And this is my bicycle that I got thanks to Vikonveled. This bike will be going 3,860 miles across the country from Virginia to Oregon. So what is Vikonveled? We're cross-country pedaling for affordable housing. You get it, right? Any questions? It was founded in 2002 by Mark Bush, who was involved with this organization called the Habitat Bicycle Challenge, which started out of New Haven. It benefited New Haven's Habitat chapter, and they were doing a cross-country trip that I think just went one route. Eventually it expanded to 2 or 3 routes. But it only lasted a couple of years, and the guy that founded it wanted to start another organization that had a bigger impact, was influencing Habitat chapters, and not even just Habitat, Rebuilding Together, all of these other organizations that are working towards affordable housing as it became a bigger and bigger issue with the turn of the century. So yeah, it started with 2 trips Vikonveled did in 2003, and with each year it's expanded to add on 1 trip, and now has 8 different trips, an alumni trip, and 2, wow, cookout going crazy. And they have 2 like week-long trips that people can do if they want to just get an intro to Vikonveled instead of committing to an entire summer if they don't have that available to them. The house is going to catch on fire. But that's okay, because we're going to work towards affordable housing. So there's 8 different trips. I can point them out. The red trip along the top is one of the original routes. That's northern U.S. It starts in New Hampshire on the beach. All of them go east coast to west coast. And it ends up in Vancouver. There is Boston to Santa Barbara, starting right here, Boston. And then there's 2 that leave from Providence. One goes to San Francisco and one goes to Seattle. Those are, I think they're sort of newer trips. Then Central U.S. is the other original trip, which is the one that I'll be doing, going from Virginia and Virginia Beach, which is 1 hour from where I'm from, to Cannon Beach, Oregon. We end at Haystack Rock, this very majestic landmark on the coast of Oregon. North Carolina to San Diego is one of the newer trips. Starts in Outer Banks area, I believe. South Carolina to Santa Cruz, SC to SC, is also one of the newer trips. That actually stops for an entire week and does what they call a blitz build. They build an entire house from start to finish in a week. And then finally, the southern U.S. trip, the hottest trip of the 8. It starts in Florida and ends up close to San Francisco. And as I mentioned, there's 2 alternative routes. The Capital Ride is like this 1 or 2 week commitment in the middle of the summer, and it sort of gets you into the idea of what Vikonveled is all about. And the Chris Webber Memorial is to honor Chris Webber, obviously. He's somebody that was very involved with Habitat. His family was very influential with Vikonveled, and this ride is to commemorate him. He died in a bicycle accident, unfortunately, at one point. And so they go down, and this is like the alumni trip. It's only open to alumni. They go down to Florida for, I forget if it's 1 or 2 weeks, but it's sort of like a spring break in the middle of winter. The mission of Vikonveled is to raise money. Each rider is charged with raising $4,000, so we raise like $550,000 plus every summer. It's to build houses. Each trip stops about 8 times, on average once a week, to build on housing projects that are ongoing. We bring them 30 to 32 laborers ready to go with their hammers. We foster awareness about the affordable housing cause. With every place that we stay, our churches, community centers, all these places we're staying every night, our goal is to give a presentation to the community on what we're doing and why, and to ignite the spirit of service and empower young leaders. A lot of these people are college-aged, and it's sort of set up to be done during a college summer, all the way up through grad school age. So people are between 19 and 28. So you can be up to 25 to ride, up to 28 to lead a ride. So trying to get people to get this sort of into their habit of, giving back to others. These are some of the awesome photographs that get taken during the summer. There's a competition each year to take the best photograph. This is one of them from North Carolina to San Diego last year. The numbers. In summer 2010, we're expected to do over 10,000 hours of building and raise over $550,000 for the cause. This is the team building with the people who eventually own the house down at the bottom. That's one of the other nice aspects of working with Habitat. You're typically working with the eventual end users of the house who are doing their own sweat equity. They have to put in X number of hours to actually be able to own the house and help pay for the house that they're going to own. The rider impact, there's 250 riders each summer. There's 8 trips of 30 people. And if you can imagine, over 8 years, there's already over 1,000 alumni. And they're all continuing to do things like AmeriCorps. They're working for Habitat chapters. They're working in organizations and living out that spirit of service that we try to ignite. So what happens on the trip? How does this happen? Obviously, the trip is about 2.5 months. In order to get from point A to point B, coast to coast, we have to do between 40 and 100 miles a day. I think on average, for most of the trip, we're doing about 70 miles a day. In the beginning, it's more like 40, 50, and sort of, I feel like it builds up by 10 miles average per state that we go through in a way, or week that we go through. And by the time we're almost to the Rockies, we're doing like 100 miles a day, but not consecutively all the time. There's a few centuries thrown in there. On average, we build once a week. Sometimes we're building for 1 day, 2 days. I think we might have one place where we build 3 days. And doing community presentations almost every night. We're facilitating an affordable housing curriculum with each of our riders. They've been charged with doing a research on a specific facet within the complex issue that is affordable housing, and they're teaching each other as we go along. We have little town hall meetings and teach each other about affordable housing. And then all the money that we raise in a way gets dispersed as we go on the road. $100 of what we raise gets designated by each host that we stay with. In exchange for them keeping us, they get to decide where 100 goes to one of the local chapters in their community. Each rider gets to decide where 500 goes, and that's typically to a group that they've met along the way. And then we are also soliciting grant applications to this large pool of money that we've raised. And as I said, we stay in churches, community centers, schools, families' backyards. The list never ends. We sleep on thermarests and in sleeping bags, so we have we don't have very high standards.